Good remix, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of SeriousPack Adventures and SeriousCraft. We're here with little Piggy. Hey Piggy, how you doing? Going. Alright. I've been traveling the world. I'm super far away from things. If you look at the map, this is where our base is. And I kind of like traveled like all the way around here. And now I'm done here. Because I'm looking for a silverwood tree, because we need one for the next thing we want to do. If we open our smart book and we look at the essential distillation that we unlocked last time, we need to make these V's filter, and they require a silverwood plank. And silverwood trees are from Thaumcraft, so if you look on those plants and trees, you can read a little bit about them. Those are kind of like very pure trees, that's what they say. And I finally found one. There is a biome called the Magical Forest, which is from Thaumcraft, and in that one you get a lot of like silverwood trees and greatwood trees, but it's pretty rare. This is not a magical forest, even though it looks very magical. This is a fungi forest, which looks pretty awesome. So, oh, apparently scanned this. I saw there's mycelium here, and last time I actually made a shovel with a silky enchantment, silk touch. So let's grab some. We can always spread more, but it might be useful for something, right? Might as well grab a little bit. But yeah, there's our silverwood tree. Those are really awesome. Is there a node somewhere? Oh yeah, you can see the node sort of through this through this tree. There's one on this water. The water is kind of hiding it. Oh, there's a greatwood tree with spider webs too. That means there's a treasure there. We should check that out later. But first of all, scan it. So the silverwood trees, they have a very cool, I guess, ability. If you plant one, it actually turns the biome you're in into a magical forest. Just a little like spot, but it can be pretty cool. But I believe only the ones, I'm gonna actually harvest this now, only the silverwood trees that spawn a aura node inside. So some of them can have like an aura node inside their log. It's a very small aura. It's a pure one, I believe, which is like kind of the strongest, I would say. It can even get rid of like taint biome, which is like the bad biome in Thaumcraft. And there's actually a pretty big one here, the purple one, which we'll check out eventually, but probably not anytime soon. The only issue is with these trees that they don't drop a lot of saplings. There is a chance to get one, and only one, but it's not 100%. So I'm gonna try to chop down this tree, and hopefully we're gonna get a sapling so we can move this guy to our base. But if it doesn't happen, oh well. Not as nice, but at least we get the silverwood logs. I'm gonna turn on my magnet here so I don't accidentally miss things, and we can keep working on our, you know, our distillery stuff. So I'm gonna go chop this down and we'll see what I get. Well, alright, I chopped it down, and I guess what I said wasn't quite right. Luckily, there's a chance to get more saplings because I just got 2, which is pretty amazing. I used the shears on the leaves because I really like the way they look. So I'm just gonna grab them. There's a, you know, I could like try to get a sapling out of them too, but they look pretty nice. Just want to quickly scan this one as well, if I would turn off my magnet. But yeah, so now we have this. We can probably plant one nearby, just so we have it in near our base. And maybe we'll be lucky and we get a silverwood tree with an aura node inside. That would be kind of cool. Alright, so I'm gonna go head back to the base and we'll continue with stuff. Oh, before we go, I forgot. Greatwood tree. You see those cobwebs? And we're gonna get some nasty spiders spawning. Oh, game, don't like right now. Oh, are we lucky? Let's quickly break the spawner, because we don't want cave spiders. Awesome. Well, that was lucky. Let's see what we got. Ooh, sawmill pickaxe is nice. Broken record. A little bit of nether quartz I'll take. Mega rubber saplings I'll leave, because they just kill the server. And, okay. Nothing too fancy. I'll be back soon. Alright guys, it is the next day for me actually. So it's been quite a while since that little adventure to get the silverwood sapling. A few things have changed here and there, but not too much. I think we can go over that eventually. I did get my pickaxe to 450 lapis, so it should be, you know, the max luck we can get. I also added redstone to make it a little bit faster, so we can mine faster. Before we do anything, real quick thing here. I tried out these storage drawers. What are they called? I guess compact drawers from the mod storage drawers. Those are pretty cool. They come in different sizes, so you can have like one that only holds that only has one drawer, 2 drawers, or 4 drawers. I think that's the highest. And the more drawers you have per block, the less stacks they can hold per drawer. So this one has 4, and originally it only holds 2 stacks per drawer. If you hover over it, it tells you. So you can put in 4 different items, which is pretty nice. And then you can make these little upgrades here to increase the storage by how many times, whatever this is here. 13 times seems to be the highest. And then there's also these compacting drawers and controllers. I don't really know what this is. It's drawer controller. It says it interacts with a bank of connected drawers, so I'm not sure what this does. But it sounds like you might put in items, and if you have other storage drawers connected to it, it might auto sort it maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna have to try this out. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Don't take away, a lot of space. I put some up here in our little Thaumcraft room as well. I did make a second deconstructor and put some item hoppers behind here, so I can just dump in work tables. And yeah, I placed them here too, so we can store our little our shards, some of these things, the silver wood I found, the great wood, and some other materials we need here and there. Pretty cool. But yeah, let's get working on what I want to do. I think we need this cauldron. We need a furnace. Don't think I need stone. I still have these 2 saplings, so I'm gonna have to grow a tree outside. But what we want to do today is work on the essential distillation. Alright, so first of all we need the chemical furnace, and I kind of explained last time what it does. It's kind of like the cauldron we have here, but instead of like keeping the liquid inside this water and not being able to get it out, you can actually store this in jars or bottles, so it's pretty cool. So we're gonna make the chemical furnace. This is the 1 piece. It needs these arcane stones, which are pretty easy. It's just smooth stone and then any shard, a little bit of aspects here, and then V's, and then you get some. You actually get 9, so it's quite good. And it needs another crucible, not a cauldron, so make sure you turn a cauldron into a crucible first, and just a furnace. So we craft this thing first. I should have everything. Yeah, I think so. What am I missing? My stone. And you just like left click to get 1 at a time. Unlike the Java barrels where you left click and you get a stack. So I kind of like this actually. If you hold shift and you left click, then you get a full stack. Alright, there is our alembic furnace. Let me just switch my armor real quick. I actually switched out this armor stand for one of the one from Traveler Gear, because it actually can like display a lot of things. Like you can display all your amulets and stuff in front of it, and they look pretty neat. So I used that one instead. Alright, it should be a little bit cheaper, not by a lot, but still. Alright, we need the furnace, and then this is how you turn things into liquid. But now we need something to get the liquid out. And that's where we need the alembics. You can use 5 alembics and put them on top of an alchemical furnace, and it tells you that here as well, so you can just read through this all. Basically, whoop, that was my phone. And basically, each alembic can hold 1 liquid essential of a specific type. All right, for those we need these V's filter, a few buckets, iron, gold, so not too bad. V's filter is just gold and silver wood planks. A little bit expensive on the V side, but hopefully we'll be fine. Oops, give me that back, please. Let's get some of this, and that should be good. Alright, so we turn some of these logs into planks, and those are actually really pretty planks, so they're pretty good for building materials too. Very nice. I'm just gonna go probably craft these alembics real quick just to save a little bit of time so we get more done. You saw the recipe, so it shouldn't be too bad. So I'll be right back. Oh, and you get 2 V's filter. Nice. Alright, and I made the staff, and I'm also making some water jars here. This is where we can store liquid essentials inside. They hold up to 64 of each. I'm gonna bring this one just in case. I don't think I need it. Yeah, they can store 61 of each liquid essential. You can just break them and pick them up. You don't lose it. If you ever have liquid inside and you want to empty it, shift right click with your empty hand and it will get rid of the stuff inside. And I also made some of these files, or vials. Files, I don't know how you say it. I'll say files. And they hold 8 of each, and they're pretty cool because they're kind of like, you know, little bottles, so you can transport things around. But yeah, they always hold 8 liquid essential. All right, where do we put this thing? How about we just put it on this side for now? I have a slime tree. Neko was so friendly to give me a sapling, which is actually good because we do need some slime later on. For now, I'm just going to build this right here. We can move it later and make like a little Thaumcraft area for that. But I'm going to put down the furnace here first. And as always, I'm going to scan it right away so I don't forget. So if you right click, pretty similar interface to the normal furnace. You put in your fuel at the bottom and you put in the item that you want to break down at the top. And then you take your alembics, 5 of them. And that's actually, shouldn't matter which way really. I'm just gonna stack them like this. Where did you guys guy come from? Let's get rid of him. He was like hiding or something in the corner. Stop it. Alright. Oh, give me those. Charge my one, please. One charging, please. There you go. It seems to be it. I guess you have to have it on a hotbar. But yeah, this is what those guys look like. Pretty cool looking thing. 5 is the highest you can stack. You don't have to use 5, but you know, some materials have like a lot of different essentials inside. Oh, apparently I never scanned charcoal. Do you have anything that has like a lot? Like for example, this thing has 5 different ones, so you would have 1 for each. But yeah, let's just smelt something, and I think I'm gonna smelt charcoal for now. This is the same as coal, so it has ignis and potentia. It's just some useful things. How many did I put in there? I don't know. But you can see it's like burning it down right now. And on the left side you see the liquid essential it has stored. This is the internal buffer for the furnace itself. And when it goes down like this, that means it's actually filling them into these alembics. And here you can see we have like 10, 11 potentia, a little bit of ignis. And again, you can only see that with your goggles. So if you don't have your goggles, you don't see this. I don't think, yeah, the thermometers won't show it either. So you need the goggles to see the stuff. And there it is. So now it's done. So we have like 14 of this each in here. I'm going to put in one more. So we have 16 of each. While we're at it, let's scan it real quick so we actually know how much is then exactly. Yeah, it has 2 of each. So we should have 16 right now. Yeah. And so you can take your jars. And we're just gonna put them down here for now. Gonna better get rid of this cactus so I don't accidentally make them drop inside and break. And now you can take your little files here. Now let's leave the sort on my hotbar. And you just right click the alembic and you take out 8 at a time. And you get this little bottle icon here, or little filled icon. It looks pretty cool. I like the way those files look. I'm gonna also scan it. I assume, do they have the same element? No. So this one probably has the potentia. Pretty cool. How many did we get? 8 research points for that. Oh, that's a pretty cool way to get research points then. I mean, it's one time only, but you know, like I'm getting 8 ignis now. Oh, no, you just scan it once. You scan one of them and then you know the rest about it. Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah, and then you can just right click on your jars and fill them in there. You can't mix them, so it doesn't work if you would try to fill something else inside. But there it is, 16 of each, so very cool. And again, you can only see it with your glasses. Alright, so what use would you have for the alembics and this whole system here? Because obviously we have the liquid stuff now, but what do we do with it other than walking all over it? Well, there are a few things you can do with this. They're very important for later on, later things. But one thing you can do now is, so if you want to, you know, create something in your cauldron and you don't want to waste materials or something. So for example, if you want to make aluminum, right? So if you open our book, let's take a look at this real quick. If you would like to make aluminum, it has ignis and potentia. which we actually have here right now. But it also needs Perdisio. Well, we don't have anything right now that has Perdisio only. What we do have is sand, for example, which has Terra and Perdisio. So let's take, well, got 8, let's take, yeah, there we go. So you put these 8 in here, and you're just breaking them up into Terra and Potentia. So they'll split afterwards, right? So instead of dropping the sand into your cauldron and then creating elementum, and then you have like Terra left inside and you have to waste it, you can split it first up into the separate thing. You grab a file, and the file only has exactly that element. It doesn't have anything else, right? So you could take the other ones, and there you go. Now you have these 3 exact essentials that you would need to make elementum. So you can drop these files into the cauldron, you know, dump in your catalyst, which I don't actually know what elementum is called, right? How much does it need? 3. Yeah, so I'm not going to do this right now. And then, you know, get your items. So, oh, there's a king slime somewhere. So that way you kind of save stuff. So that's one of the things you can use it for. Another use for your liquid stuff is some machines and devices in Thaumcraft actually use liquid essentia or Vs, but we'll talk about that later. That's a very later, mid-game topic. But they can use essentia to modify them, to speed them up, to refuel them, etc. Depends on what machine it is. One of the things that I would like to unlock actually is the Infernal Furnace. It is a giant furnace that you can use to smelt down things, and it has a chance to give you some extra nuggets once in a while. Actually, I think it always gives you an extra nugget, so you get like a little bit more out of your ores than if you would just put them in the furnace. But you can see there's this purple swirly thing around, and if you hover over it, it says Forbidden Knowledge Minor. This means if you research a forbidden knowledge, you will get warp, and warp is kind of a bad effect on your mental state. If you go to the main page and you read about warp and flux, it talks about how warp and flux are like the bad things in Thaumcraft, warp being something that affects your mind, and flux being, I think it says here, if warp is the mental manifestation of magic gone wrong, then flux is its physical manifestation. So flux is also what you get when you dump these extra essentials from your cauldron that I mentioned last time. So yeah, if you research this, you will get warp. And what warp does is, the more you get, the more negative effects you will get on your character. It will start out by like getting weird headaches, like your character gets headaches, you hear your heartbeat, the vision gets weird, you suddenly feel like slowly getting paranoid, someone is following you, you see things, etc. I don't want to spoil it because it's pretty interesting, but yeah, it gets pretty bad. But we of course want to know all the forbidden knowledge, so let's unlock this. And in the bottom right corner you can see you have gained warp and you have gained permanent warp. So there's a difference between temporary warp and permanent warp. Temporary warp you get from crafting certain things over and over again, so you can slowly build up your warp and become more and more insane, but you can get rid of this later eventually. Permanent warp will always be there. So anyway, let's look at this. So this is a multi-structure, pretty big thing. We can't build this yet because I don't have any nether brick. I haven't been to the nether yet. I'll probably do this off camera. And it's pretty expensive on the cost too, but yeah, it's a pretty awesome device. It's like a gigantic furnace. We'll probably make it just for fun, even though we have the smeltery, which is way more efficient. But it tells you here, while this is essentially free, it is also very slow unless the furnace gets a new supply of Ignis Essentia or Vs every now and again. That sounds weird. So you can either use this liquid Essentia Ignis here and pump it into the furnace to make it a lot faster, or you can use Vs later, but we can't do that yet. That's something for later. But the main reason why we need liquid stuff is the big thing I wanted to get into. Infusions. Oh boy, let's unlock it. And suddenly we got a whole bunch of things unlocked. Not just on this page. You can see suddenly there's some tools here. Pickaxe of the core, axe of the stream, the sword of the sapphire, shovel of the earth mover, hoe of growth. So there's a lot of things. A brain in a jar, a mirror magic, Boots of the Trail. So lots of cool things just open up, even on other tabs. Probably not on alchemy, but on here I'm sure. We suddenly got Thaumium 1 caps. We suddenly got a bunch of weird new 1 cores, Silverwood 1 core, and so on. So we can actually make a better wand soon, which we'll probably do. But you need the infusion altar for that. Oh, I didn't want to unlock this, but okay. Now we unlock the Boots of the Traveler as well. I guess we'll build them soon. Our infusion is the best thing ever. Also the very tedious thing, but it's awesome. Basically, it is a... It's kind of like an altar. You can see it here in this image. And it lets you do like certain rituals. It's kind of like a how would I say it? Like a crafting in the world here. So you don't use a crafting table or anything. You place items on pedestals and you fuel your infusion altar with liquid essentia. That's why we need this. And then magic happens and it combines all these items you're offering into one single item. And it's amazing. So for example, if you look at the Boots of the Traveler we just unlocked, you see this is an arcane infusion recipe. And you can see this weird shape here. So this means you put the main item in the center of your ritual, and then you put these recipes around on pedestals. You feed it these essentials. This is liquid stuff, not these from a wand or anything. This is in jars. This has to be in those big jars. And then it tries to combine this all. And each infusion has an instability value. So things can go wrong. And if you don't make sure that everything stays stable with certain like candles or animal heads or crystals to balance out the negative stuff, then things can get pretty bad. Alright guys, but infusions are a pretty big topic as well, so we'll probably do that next episode so we can get started on that. It's gonna be awesome. Instead, let's talk about those things a little bit more. So I made some things here. I made Essential Resonator and Essential Tubes. So you know, imagine you have, like you burn like one piece of charcoal. This one only has 2 ignis and 2 potentia. So right now, if you would like to get this outside, you can't. And I tried this earlier, that's why there's a little bit still inside. I can't get this out right now because it's only 2, right? But we need at least 8 for these files. So how do we get this into the jar now? Well, you can make tubes. Tubes are pretty easy to make. I can't look up the recipe here. Let's look at the smart book. It is just iron, glass, gold nugget, and quicksilver drops. Quicksilver you can get from cinnabar ore or from finding shimmer leaf flowers around silverwood trees. And then you just take your tubes, connect this to your jar, and it's filling up, right? There is an issue with these tubes, and I think a lot of people avoid them because of this, because they can be very complicated. Most item ducts and liquid ducts, like from thermal expansion, etc., they kind of like push items, right? So like if you have, 2 things connected, they like push items from here into the other one. Tubes kind of work different. They work with suction. So everything in here, for example, the jars, they have a suction value. So if I right click with this resonator, that tells you what the suction is. If I right click the jar, it tells you the suction of this jar is 32 ignis, right? And it also tells you how much it contains. So that means it tries to suck through like ignis, only ignis, through this tube, and it has a strength of 32. So if you like go down here, 31, 30, and then 0, because these alembics don't have any suction. So the longer your cable will be with this, this thing here, you can see the suction slowly goes down. So after a while, if you would go over 32 cable, this jar couldn't suck stuff out of it anymore, right? So if these were too far away, it wouldn't work. Now the issue is if I try to connect this now to a cable that has a suction type of ignis, suddenly we see steam. Well, that's because this one now tries to suck out potentia. Same over here. But this one wants ignis, and it can't suck 2 different essentials through the same tube. That worked at one point in Thaumcraft, but eventually he made it so that you can only pump one type of essentials through these pipes, right? Well, we have 16 right now. If I connect this up to this one, and you see the little steam going down, nothing happens. And that's because, like I said, this one tries to get ignis, potentia. Alright, just made it daytime here real quick. So this is obviously an issue, that's why people don't like it. There are ways around this. So for example, what you could do is just move this cable, oops, not that far, over here. And then if you use your wand and you right click on these intersections where they connect, they actually disconnect. So you could do something like this. I see a little bit of steam, but it should go away eventually. And now you only have potential, right? So there it is, it filled into the jar. So if you burn something again, it should work now. So this way you can kind of separate them. There are some other different tube parts, like the essential valve, which you can like toggle on and off a specific thing. So you could have like a toggle here and a toggle there, and then use one pipe that goes to these things, and then just turn the ones on that you want, right? And then the next one you could like move over here and down, and over here and down, and so on. But it's very tedious. Right now it's, you know, still potential and stuff. It's very tedious to do, but you can see it does work. It does fill them in. You have your, oh, okay, that's a problem too. It switched it around. Great. See, another problem. You could just switch out the jars, just pick them up, and then put them here instead. And that will work, right? But yeah, it's very tedious. There are some really cool ways to make this so much easier that we'll probably look into, but we think we need to unlock something else, probably the advanced one. Alright, yeah, I double checked. If you unlock the advanced essential tubes, it just shows you a few more. For example, you have the filtered one. It is like a normal tube, but you can put a paper tag on it that kind of specifies what type of essential you want to pass through it. But we can talk about that a little bit later. You also get restricted ones. Restricted essential tubes work like normal tubes, except they have any suction passing through them, so you can reduce the suction. Can be useful for some things. And we have directional tubes that only allow suction from one direction. So there are a few different ones we can get. Once you unlock this, you get a chemical centrifuge. This thing is pretty awesome. What it basically does is if you take like use a compound essentia and you pump it through this thing. So for example, if you look at our list of aspects, let's say ABA, right? So ABA is air and HERBA. So if you pump ABA through the centrifuge, it splits us in either air or in HERBA. So it kind of like divides the compound back into the ones it's made out of. You always lose one, so it only always spits out one of them. But I think it always like you know, it does the left one first, and the right one, and the left one, and the right one. So it, you know, everything comes out eventually. And then we also have these essential buffers, and this is what I was talking about. They help you a lot if you want to set up a pipe system such as this, but we'll talk about that later because it's a little bit complicated for now. So that's very cool. Another thing I can show you real quick, I'm going to set something up that's pretty easy at early on to make this somewhat work. But yeah, I'll set it up and I'll show you. Alright, something like this, for example, is super easy to set up. You just have, you know, you alternate the pipes. One goes over here, one goes over there, and you just put that on your jars here. And then, you know, you can just, if you burn something down, dirt, sure, why not? Dirt is terra. It goes in here right now. Just pick out the jar and replace them. So, you know, you can like kind of place them there. So it's not too bad. It's very easy early on and it makes it super fast. So that's one way of doing it. But yeah, I think next episode we'll look into infusions, and then we get to use these a lot more, and you'll notice why we need this. Hopefully this wasn't too complicated. I know it's a lot of information again. I would really appreciate some feedback if you think I'm talking too much about things, if I explain it in too many details or something, or not enough, or, you know, too fast, too slow, something like that. But yeah, if you like this episode, you know, maybe consider leaving a like. I would really appreciate it. Helps me super much. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.